Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Contemporary Islamic Law. Assalamu alaikum, Sayyidina.
Alaykum assalam.
So we're talking about contemporary Islamic legal issues, right? And that's basically the theme of our show. What specific topic are we going to be addressing in today's episode?
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. The books of fiqh begin with the section dedicated to ijtihad and taqleed. And I think that's the perfect way to begin discussing and understanding and studying fiqh. Because fiqh is derived out of the Quran, the hadith, ijma', which is the consensus among scholars or Muslims,
Right.
and aql,
Which is the intellect.
which is intellect. So how do we derive those laws? That's a discussion of itself. The process of ijtihad is a discussion in itself. The history of ijtihad is a discussion in itself. I wanted to start with a question that is oftenly asked, and that is, can a woman become a mujtahid? Can you follow a woman that is a marja'?
Interesting.
And, this topic can be discussed in a variety of ways, but I want to make sure that our audience, our respected audience, know that we're not discussing the imamah of a woman here, whether she is going to be the representative of the 12th imam in that sense of having wilaya to the people, upon the people, because that's in itself a completely different topic. There are many issues relating to women in fiqh. For example, can women lead prayers? Can women do the witnessing? Is it 2 witnesses? Is it 1? All those things. But we want to discuss the following. 1, can a woman, is it possible for her to become a faqih, a mujtahid? Or is it that something stops her from becoming a mujtahid? Number 2, if she becomes a mujtahid, can she then follow her own self, her own fatwas? Or does she still have to follow another man? And number 3, if then she's a mujtahid and she follows her own ijtihad,
Can others follow her?
can others follow her? And I think that's a very important topic, because
Absolutely.
I find a lot of women living in the West, or probably even in Muslim countries, that have given up on ijtihad, have given up on going to the seminary, studying, becoming fuqaha, because I feel they're not encouraged enough, and they feel that,
What's
this
the
is a
point?
dead end for them. And what we want to do is we want to basically let people know, this is very important in the introduction of this episode. I want to say, we've had many women mujtahids in the history of the madhab of Ahl al-Bayt. Mujtahids, the powerful mujtahids that happen to be a woman. So let's discuss this, I believe, 1, from a historical perspective. If you look at the books of Sayyid al-Murtada, for example, who died in the year 436, specifically his most important book, Al-Dhari'a ila Usul al-Shari'a, Al-Udda for Shaykh al-Tusi, who died in the year 460 Hijri, Al-Muhaqqiq al-Halli, who died in the year 676 Hijri, and Mabadi al-Usul for Allama al-Halli, who died in the year 725. Those are our most important scholars that I believe have impacted Shia Islam the most. When discussing the criteria of a marja', the criteria of a faqih, nowhere it is stated by them that it has to be a man. So that in itself is something,
Yeah.
And then we come to the year 1281 Hijri, I would say the godfather of the Maraja and the Hawza and the Fuqaha and the master of them all, Shaykh al-Ansari. Shaykh al-Ansari specifically says that there is no evidence that a faqih and a marja' or a mujtahid has to be a man. We lack evidence in that. However, I must also add that today our contemporary maraja', the popular opinion amongst them, I cannot say there is a consensus. There is no consensus. There are fuqaha in the holy city of Qom that I am aware of, that I have read their books, that are staunch supporters of the fact that women can become mujtahids, women can become fuqaha, and they can even become maraja'. But the popular opinion amongst the scholars is that they may become mujtahids. However, in regards to taqleed, in regards to becoming maraja', there is a glitch, there's an issue, and that's what we're going to be discussing.
So Sayyidina, I have a question here at this point. Isn't a marja' basically an expert, right, from my understanding? So according to their opinion, what's stopping a woman from becoming an expert exactly?
The scholars that are opposing the fact that mujtahids and maraja' can only be men, one of the things that they say is, look at the history of humanity and specifically now, and look at them all around the world. If a woman, for example, has a PhD and a man has a PhD, they look at both of them at the same level of being equals, of expertise. Yeah. If you want to go to a dentist, if you want to go to a physician, if you catch a cold, and they tell you this person is a really good doctor, you're not going to say, well, is it a man or a woman? I highly doubt anybody would say that. Or, for example...
I mean, as far as their expertise is concerned.
Yes.
Right?
So, that's one thing. Women can become experts on the topic. She can read the Quran, she can read the Hadith, look at the opinion of scholars, ijma', aql, use her intellect, and derive a law. And once she derives this law, then a mujtahid cannot follow another mujtahid.
Of course.
In fact, it is haram for a mujtahid to follow another mujtahid. And if you look at the ijazah of ijtihad that's given by senior scholars to their students, one of the indicators that they say this person is now a mujtahid is that they say وَيَحْرَمُ التَّقْلِيدُ عَلَيْهِ. It is haram for this person to do taqleed, meaning he's a mujtahid himself. So let's just make this point clear that you either have to be a mujtahid yourself, or you have to do taqleed, or you have to do ihtiyat.
Right.
Basically, you look at all the opinions of scholars and you take the most difficult one, because that is...
to be on the safe side.
Yeah, that's going to put you on the safe side. So now that she's a mujtahid and it's haram for her to follow another mujtahid, can others follow her if they find her to be an expert on the topic?
Right.
That's where the disagreement, I believe, lies. Some scholars say, absolutely, yes. Because Allah in the Quran says, فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Just ask the experts once you don't know.
He doesn't specify a gender.
Or أهل الذِّكْر, obviously are the imams, are the ma'sumin, and the inheritors of their knowledge. Who is the inheritor of the knowledge? Is the faqih. The person who can derive the correct opinion, what the imam really wants from the hadith. Because when you look at the books, how do you know that the imam really said this? How do you know he didn't say it in a state of taqiyya? All those, this is the job of a mujtahid. So once this person can do that, then what would be the problem in taking their opinion and their expertise on the topic?
Thank you very much, Sayyidina, and thank you to our viewers and listeners for being with us. This has been Contemporary Islamic Law. Of course, don't forget to share your questions and suggestions with us in the comment, and we will get to them in the further episodes. Until then, wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.